Deep Rising is a light-hearted summer blockbuster from the director who would go on to make the 1999 version of The Mummy. Join us as we discuss 90s CGI, monsters from the deep, and some totally rad moves on a jet ski. Welcome everyone to the Atomic Cinema Experiment. I am Peter, and joining me as always is Tara.
Greetings, citizens.
Who's a little bit under the weather. Recovering, but I'm pointing out because your voice does sound a little different, just so yeah. They're aware.
Can't do any singing right now.
Luckily, I don't think the audience were holding out hope for a song anyway.
Next time.
That's a threat. This is a science fiction movie podcast. We get together, we talk about a science fiction movie we watched. It's quite that simple. I'm getting so many evil eyes because of that comment. This is going to be an episode on Deep Rising, another 90s movie. 90s season continues on. This is our penultimate 90s movie for this season. We have one last one to do next week, which was the vote winner of Johnny Mnemonic. But today, we're doing giant mutated sea creature science fiction in the form of the Stephen Sommers 1998 film Deep Rising, which I'd actually only seen for the first time like 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago. I watched it on stream, not even really being aware that it was kind of a sci-fi movie until I watched it, and then I'm like, oh, this is definitely falling into sci-fi. It feels like it's, in fact, one of the posters even says it's Aliens meets Titanic, meaning that someone's got a hard on for James Cameron, and who could blame them? He's a he's a worthy director. Throw a word I was looking for. But
man, you could just say man.
He's a man. He's a real man's man. So we're going to talk about Tara. You'd never seen this before, is that correct?
That is correct. I had not seen this before.
Did you know anything about it?
No.
Had you heard of it?
No. When I started it, I thought I accidentally put on Speed 2 cruise control.
It's set on a boat, and it came out like a year after that, so I can see why you might think that. So that's it's a very simple setup. It was a cruise ship, and it ends up being attacked by some sort of creature, and we have kind of like a team of mercenaries who are coming in to do something nefarious, and kind of this rogue with a heart of gold character, main character, Finnegan is his name? I don't remember that at all, but yeah, Finnegan.
Yeah.
So he's been.
They say it a lot.
He's been hired to like drive these shady people out to an unknown location in the ocean, and he's sort of got well, if they're paying, we don't ask questions, and he's got like a Benny from The Mummy, which obviously was also directed by Stephen Sommers. He's in here kind of as the mechanic character, playing a very similar kind of sleazeball, kind of likable, but a sleazeball all the same. We have the femme fatale style of character in Famke Janssen, who I say femme fatale, she's more like a bubbly, like Selena Kyle. Like she's kind of like a thief who gets mixed up in everything, but is kind of like, I guess her and Finnegan are both like, slight criminals, but with likable enough
Hearts of gold.
Yes, I tried to avoid using that phrase again, but you went for it. We have the guy who owns the cruise, who is this slimy rich guy, and then we got a bunch of other, we got all the mercs themselves. And that's kind of the setup of the movie. A lot of recognizable faces, which we'll talk about in a minute, but I think before we get to any of that, the mercs get to the boat, and they're just surprised to find that there's not a lot of passengers kicking about because there's monsters already on board, and then the movie goes from there. So I'll leave it there. We'll start spoiler free, of course, and we'll give you a warning before we go into spoilers. But Tara, what did you think of Deep Rising?
I didn't really like it. I thought it was gonna be something up my street, but I don't know. Maybe it's just that we've kind of watched a similar movie that I liked more called Leviathan, and I think that this one has potential for sure. I was really I like the idea of like a Poseidon adventure, but with an actual like sea monster and stuff like that. I think that would be kind of a cool movie to make and watch. But it sort of turns into like I don't know, like you can see that this is the same time as like Event Horizon and those type of movies.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I don't know. I got kind of frustrated with the actual creature because for a long time they avoided showing it and doing the Jaws thing, and I thought, okay, yeah, I mean that's one way to do it. That's fine. Like, but it eventually kind of just wore on me, and like I really want to see this creature, and then when I see it, I'm like, I don't really like it. Go back to being a nothing.
Yeah,
in my imagination.
I mean, your first point there was basically is that it feels super 90s. Like that's essentially what you were getting at.
Yeah, but like I do have nostalgia for 90s and 90s disaster movies and stuff like that, and I like movies like this. I like Deep Blue Sea a lot. You know, I like Titanic. But I don't know. This one just doesn't work for me. I think the characters are not great. I didn't find the comic relief to be annoying like I expected I would. I mean, not all of his lines are great and stuff, but like he was fine. I thought the lead, Finnegan, Treat Williams, I thought he was kind of a weird choice for a leading man. He never really. They wanted him to be Han Solo so bad. Like he has his own ship. He even has like a line like I've got a very bad feeling about.
He does say that, yeah. He says that at one point.
But like he doesn't have any charisma, like you know, Harrison Ford does.
He's more of a schlub. He's more like he feels like the guy who could just be living down the street. You know, he's like your neighbor as opposed to like a hero.
Yeah, he's just a weird choice, I thought, and I don't know. What do you think of the movie?
I think I like it more than you do, but it's not because I think it's good necessarily. I just I think the 90s to solve it. I think there's just enough of it clicks into place where I kind of had fun with it for what it is. There's definitely better examples. I mean, I like Leviathan a bit more than this, and I think part of that is down to an even better. Even though there's some good cast members in this, like Leviathan has like a really surprisingly good cast, and it also relies on practical effects, and this has a lot of 1998 CGI, which and it's not even just the monster itself, but like even like some shots of like just looking at the cruise ship on the water, like there's just this kind of like blurry like muddiness to it. It's like, okay, this is clearly of its time, and
I would have appreciated a model in a bathtub much more,
because it definitely feels like you know, at the time they were proud of this and they thought it was cutting edge. And I remember when The Mummy came out just a year later, there was a lot of the extras on the DVD and stuff were all about the visual effects and how proud they were. And that, you know, well, it's a bit dated now, I think was more impressive at the time than this probably was. But this does look very dated in its effects, more dated than practical stuff from the prior decade looks. Which is kind of the point I'm making with Leviathan, is that the practical stuff then holds up better because it was practical. So I think that's, you know, maybe the biggest thing against it. I agree the characters are very thin and light, but I kind of enjoy them in a weird, like, sort of schlubby way. Like, I kind of appreciate that the lead's a bit shit. I think what's funny is that the lead actor is, like, the only face in this I don't know from something else. Like, every other actor I know from other things. It is an insane, like, who's who of a cast.
Treat Williams has to be, like, a TV actor.
Yeah, no doubt is. I'll click on him just quickly and see. He was in he was in the Phantom. Oh wow, okay, I've not seen that in a long time.
Billy Zane one.
Yeah, he's in some episodes of Blue Bloods, Chicago Fire, White Collar. He's in a lot of TV shows and TV movies. Like, he's just that type of actor, which is fine. But like the rest of the cast, like obviously Famke Janssen, who most people know from the X-Men movies, is kind of your lady lead. The rich guy who owns the cruise ship, that's the creepy warden from Silence of the Lambs, and that guy cannot play a good character. He has to be like a scumbag because he's so sleazy the way he talks. He's got that rich guy.
Is it the glasses and the haircut combo where you're just like, don't trust him.
The way he delivers his lines. Kevin J. O'Connor plays the comic relief, the mechanic. He obviously is from The Mummy. I don't really know him from anything else, but he's in that. You've got like the high-ranking guy in the ship. That's like that's not the captain. He is one of the henchmen, the main henchman in Lethal Weapon 2. I was like, where did I know him from? And that's what it was. It's him. The Merc team is full of people. You've got the guy who was the captain on Sunshine, is one of them. You've got Kano from the Mortal Kombat movie, is the Australian guy. You've got Digimon Hanzo from Gladiator. He's been actually been in more stuff recently.
Is his name actually pronounced Digimon?
I don't think so, but Firefly, what are you?
Okay, kitty.
Okay, all right. Stupid cat. Decide to just leap over the whole monitor.
Gotta see a monster.
So yeah, you've got all these faces. Like there's maybe like one guy on the Merc crew. There's one who I would describe as Dennis Leary's looking brother.
Seriously, yeah, totally.
Yeah, I've seen it. He's been in a lot of Guy Ritchie stuff and things like that. But like that's what I think of when I look at him. He's like you could be related to Dennis Leary.
Oh yeah, he definitely should play him in play brothers or something with him, or has at some point. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know if you can say biopic because they're about the same age. I think it's not like he's like here now and.
No, I never meant like he should play Dennis Leary. I meant like they should play kind of like at some point Tom Cruise and Tig Notaro have to play siblings in a movie. Right.
I haven't thought of that one.
It's like it's there. They have to do it.
That's fair enough. I can see it. So yeah, very very recognizable cast of the time period, and it's a lot of faces. I mean, a few of them I mentioned have come up in other things, but what's really notable about all those faces and where I said I know them from is that most of them I only know them from one other thing from the 90s or late 80s. Like very few of them like are still like someone I recognize from modern things. Most of them it's like no, they've got one other notable thing in this time period and that's it. So it's very much a who's who, but it's a who's who of specifically this time period, and I think that's really interesting. The obvious exception maybe being Famke Janssen and Hanzo and maybe Cliff Curtis. That's why I said Hanzo instead. I thought I'll sidestep the first name.
Oh.
It's probably Jiman Hanzo, if I was to guess.
I don't know. Like he's such a good like working actor. Like you think the name would pop up somewhere where I would hear it and be like, oh, that's how you pronounce it.
I see it a lot.
Probably in the time of Amistad, because I'm sure he was like the star of that.
Yeah, but obviously he was in Guardians of the Galaxy. He's popped up in he's been popping up in a lot of other things, and they're apparently making like a Gladiator 2 that he's going to be in.
What? Really?
At least there was supposed to be. There was rumors of it at some point. I don't know if they've fallen through. They might have done, but
what?
Yeah. Did you not hear about this?
No.
Gladiator 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Is Maximus coming back? Well, you can't, right? But.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. It was the Wizard in Shazam. I forgot about that. So yeah, he's popping up in small roles here or there throughout modern things.
Who?
Exactly.
Is that what he's always going to be known for? Is the Who guy in Guardians of the Galaxy?
I mean, that gif does get used a lot. I mean, I still think of him as Gladiator first, so that's the first thing I think of.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, I always remember him in Amistad because that was the movie that I was really excited for, a new Spielberg movie because it's still high on Jurassic Park, and going, Spielberg's making boring movies now.
I've never seen Amistad, but yeah, that's fair.
Early McConaughey.
Yeah. Amistad was he did Amistad and then Small Hours and then Deep Rising, so this was really close to Amistad in terms of yeah. And also Spielberg's other movie in 97 was The Lost World, which I don't think is very good. So yeah, 97 was a bad year for Spielberg.
Why does he do that with his Jurassic Park movies?
Yeah, he's like,
he did Jurassic Park and Schindler's List same year, and then Lost World and Amistad same year.
I'm going to do my very serious historical film alongside my dinosaur movie. It worked well the first time, so I'll do it again.
I mean, Amistad is a good movie, but for young Tara, who is high on dinosaurs, what is this? It's boring. It's about America. I don't live there yet.
Oh dear. So There you go. So yeah, very very notable cast at the time period. Is ultimately what I'm trying to say. Yeah, and Stephen Sommers, like, he's a director who obviously everyone felt like, oh, is he the new Spielberg because of The Mummy? Like, because that's kind of the new Indiana Jones. Everyone was saying, oh, is he going to like have this new? I feel like he just disappeared off the face of the earth after that. Like, Van Helsing just killed his career.
Oh, he did that one too.
Yeah.
I don't hate Van Helsing. I mean, I saw it in theaters.
I think you can tell. I think you can tell that the guy who did The Mummy, this was like an attempt to do a new version of it with Van Helsing.
Yeah. I guess, he just had the right formula for The Mummy, because that is a fun movie.
Well, no, it is. The first Mummy's a really solid adventure film, but then you get to, after that, he's got Van Helsing, and then he did G.I. Joe Rise of the Cobra in 2009.
Oh, I saw that, yeah.
And then he got Odd Thomas in 2013.
I didn't see that
I don't even know what that is. Who's that? Anton Yelkin's in it?
Yeah, I've seen the poster, but I don't. I never saw the movie.
And that's his last film. He's got a project announced called When Worlds Collide, but his last movie was 2013. So, given like how Hollywood was like propping him up when The Mummy came out, it's kind of sad that how quickly that popularity and like success just dwindled.
Yep.
So
he's like the Colin Trevorrow of his time.
I mean, it's no guarantee Trevorrow's career is going that route, but it certainly feels likely at this point. I don't know.
You had your chance. He gave us Jurassic World, and everything else has been weird. Book of Henry.
I mean, he's the guy who got like fired from a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Not the only one either. Josh Trank got fired. Fantastic Four did that.
What was he supposed to direct?
Oh. Was it one of the spin-offs? I can't remember. I can't remember, but I'm sure he was. I'm sure he was meant to do a Star Wars movie, and then it all fell apart because.
Oh, maybe was it Solo, because they brought in Ron Howard, right, to finish that movie?
No, because that was the those like the pair who did a comedy. Yeah. And Disney were surprised that the pair of guys who are known for doing comedies made a comedy.
Yeah.
And
I think I heard it was like the people were comparing it to like the dailies to Ace Ventura or something. And then Disney was like, oh my God, what have we done?
Hey, I tell you what, if they actually cast Jim Carrey as young Han Solo, even though Jim Carrey's like 50 already, like if they cast Jim Carrey as young Han Solo and had him just doing his Ace Ventura act in the outfit, I would have. I've not seen Solo yet. I won't see it until we review it on the show. But you know what? I would have liked to see that version of Solo.
Hell yeah. If the guy asked him, how'd you get that name or whatever, and then he would bend over and butt speak Solo. It was great.
And it ties into Pet Detective. A Wookiee's kind of like a pet.
Yeah, totally. Oh, there's a lot of creatures in the movie. Yeah.
There you go. Perfect.
What could have been?
Ace Ventura.
A Star Wars story.
Yeah. It would definitely reignite both franchises, I think.
Print it.
Oh dear. All right, so yes, I mean, I enjoy Deep Rising well enough. It's sort of thing where I expected not to, and maybe it's because I went in with those expectations of like, this is probably going to be shit. Is that as it was playing out and like it was having the tropes and like doing the tough commando squad like who are acting all tough and mean, but they're kind of like end up being wimps in the end, where all the heroes we actually want to root for are the ones that have a chance of surviving. There's a couple of fun little set pieces. It's not like I found it a very easy, comfortable watch, and maybe it's because it is this type of movie from the 90s where I just like, this is kind of relaxing to watch, to be honest. So there's something very nice about it.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I don't know. I just wanted something else from it.
Yeah, that's fair.
It wasn't quite as good as like Deep Blue Sea is for me, or like.
No, I agree with that. I like Deep Blue Sea more, and I like Leviathan more. And I would say this is kind of a cross between those two things.
Well, it started off with high potential. I like the introduction to all the characters and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, this is like, seems like they're doing like a Die Hard thing, but from the perspective of the bad guys. But they're going to go into a situation where, you know, Nakatomi Plaza is on a boat, and then also there's a sea monster there that they have to escape from.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what the scene is that they go into like, the big ballroom in the boat thinking, oh, we're going to have to, you know, like Hans Gruber's men in Die Hard. So they bust in going, everyone, like, and then they just realize, wait, where's everyone? Like, why is everyone not here? Like, that's actually quite a fun premise. It's like, okay, it's the bad guys from Die Hard, but when they go into the building, everyone's already dead. Oh shit, they're in trouble. Like that actually is quite a fun premise, and that's kind of where the movie like starts with, and that's kind of cool. I've also obviously we won't spoil it until we get into things, but I actually really like the ending because I just think it's really funny.
I like parts of the ending. Yes,
I'm talking about the very final scene. I'm talking about
okay, all right. I did read a trivia thing about it, but remind me to bring that up.
Yeah, sure. I just like I felt like if nothing else, the movie was just about having fun, and I think the ending just kind of made me feel like, oh yeah, this was just having this would be just a funny ending to have.
Okay. I guess.
I don't know. I like that. That was it. So, yeah. Yeah. I don't know if there's much more to say in spoiler free because like there's not really. Yeah, it's not like good character arcs to talk about, or you know, like.
Not really. I love the use anytime there's a use of a jet ski.
That's the word. Yes.
There's a Chekhov's jet ski.
There's a Chekhov's jet ski, and there's basically scenes of like. So imagine you saw Die Hard, not Die Hard. Sorry, imagine I got Die Hard in the brain there because you brought that up. Imagine you saw Titanic in 1997. And then a year later, you see a movie where just like the Titanic, there's like, you know, a rising water level all around the ship. And just imagine someone riding down all the corridors of the ship in a jet ski. You get that.
I appreciate the use of jet skis in this movie. Just because there's something so hilarious to me about a jet ski being cool. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like a sign of like, this is a cool person. They're on a jet ski. Because I think of people on jet skis as losers. But they're always meant to look cool.
Do you feel the same about motorbikes? Because to me, a jet ski is just a motorbike on the water. No,
I don't feel the same about a motorbike. Specifically jet ski.
Okay. Interesting. Mm-hmm. Because it's kind of similar, especially if someone's like, you know, riding behind them, you're holding on to them. It's a very similar visual to me, just on the water instead of on the road.
See, maybe it's a gender thing. Maybe I just lack that chromosome that tells me that this is cool. But
I'm not saying it's cool. I'm saying that motorbikes and jet skis are equally. I mean, I don't have a problem, but I'm just like, to either of them.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Do you think I'm someone who's into motorbikes? Like,
well, motorbikes can be cool. You know, in the Matrix, they're cool, right? But jet skis to me are never cool.
Well, I'm talking about someone who's just into motorbike. Obviously, if we're doing action, like if we're doing the scene from Terminator 2 when he's like, you know, veering around the truck and he's like picking up John. Yeah, obviously in that scene, like it's
sure.
cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. But even if like Arnold Schwarzenegger's on a jet ski with a shotgun, I'll be like, that's silly.
I think a jet ski being, you know, quote unquote cool fits the tone of this movie though. This is the sort of movie it is.
Yeah, exactly. That's like it's the wrong confidence.
Yes.
That's what it is.
But that to me, that's what's appealing about it, is like even down to the chemistry of the kind of there's like a slight romance between our like two leads.
Between like one of the most beautiful women in the world and Treat Williams.
This Shelby old man, yes. And there's only actually 10 years between them. It's not actually that big of an age gap as I thought it was. But like
he just seems old though.
Yeah, he seems older, but he's only 10 years older than her. But I think what I liked about this is that it really just boils down to one like accidental flirtatious comment where she thinks he's implying he wants something. He's just kind of like, nah, like just, you know, give me a cold beer. That's all. And then later on, it's paid off where she kisses him, and I don't think that's much of a spoiler. And she says, "Better than a cold beer, right?" And I'm like, you know what? this wasn't like forced or problematic or not problematic because it was never problematic, but
No, I wouldn't say.
no. The point I'm making though is that this never felt intrusive because you just left it as this one comment and one little payoff where it's not even like a full-blown romance. It's just like a little smirk, like, hey, you know what, we got out of that, so here, have a kiss, like, like, you know,
Sure.
Plus, you know, given where they are at the end, what else are they going to do? They might as well just start having sex, like.
Yeah, I'm sure that's where the scene was heading.
Yeah, that's good. If I'm on an island with, I'm spoiling things. If I'm on an island with Famke Janssen and there's nothing else to do, like, you better believe my first suggestion is, well, let's just have some sex.
Are you gonna leave that in there?
Maybe I'll bleep it. Maybe I'll go back and bleep out the word. Maybe that'll make it sound way dirtier. It'll be like, if I'm on a bleep with Famke Janssen, you better believe.
I'm on a bleep, 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 bleep. What kind of a show is this?
But yes, I agree. She's very attractive in the film. When she's doing all of her hasty stuff early on, she's very fetching. There's a nice sexual bit I liked early on in this where she gets caught thieving, and they don't have like a proper brig, so they put her in like the
Fridge.
I don't actually think it's cooled, but yeah, they put her in like the food storage area, and I love that she's like, oh well, I'll just have a feast then, and she's like, she's opening stuff, she's having like the fruit and the you know, just everything that's around.
It looks like champagne and caviar.
Yeah.
Or some.
She's treating herself.
Well, I mean, this is a cruise line specifically for millionaires.
Yes.
And above.
Yes. I mean, he does say in his big speech at the start, you're all here, you're happy, you're delightful, and rich. We're all rich here.
Must be nice.
Yeah. Aren't cruise ships like one of the worst like things for the environment? Like like in relation to like how useful they are, like they're pretty bad because like they're just this luxury, but they use like so much energy to like exist.
Yeah, I mean, probably.
Yeah.
I don't really know exactly. Planes are pretty bad for the environment.
Yeah, but planes like have a use though. Like, we do have to get around, whereas like a cruise ship is just purely for the sake of the indulgence.
That's true.
You know. You know.
Excuse me.
And planes tend to be pretty full, at least. It's not like most, like, unless you get a private plane, obviously, but it's not like most big airline planes like are like, usually they tend to fill up. So it's like at least they're all being used to like by the fullest amount of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, not that I'm shitting at anyone who wants to go on a cruise. I've heard things in passing.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never been on a cruise. I lived on a boat for 3 years.
Yeah, but your boat didn't have a casino and a nightclub and like swimming pools and all sorts of shenanigans.
It would have made the Navy so much better, though.
Oh, I'm sure it would have.
Sign me up.
Well, that's the thing. A cruise ship is basically a floating city, right? Like it's got like all the comforts of a town or a city, but on a boat. And yeah, like they have to run all that stuff. Like I imagine it does take a lot of like energy that they have to travel with.
Sure.
So.
I mean, my ship was much smaller than that, but like, it still was just seemed like we wasted a lot of fuel all the time. It's not just a little bit of fuel, you know.
Of course, ships are pretty big. Take a lot of fuel to move.
Gotta get that steam going. Yep.
That's why they should still have sails on ships, just to like take the edge off.
Well, they still have oars. Everyone just mans the station and starts rowing. No, I'm just kidding.
I was gonna say, I've seen pictures of your ship in the Navy. I'm pretty sure that no one was rowing off the sides of it.
Man the oars.
All right. I suppose we'll just give the spoiler warning and start talking about the plot of Deep Rising, shall we? So spoilers ahead. You have been warned. Sorry. Spoilers ahoy! See? Both really terms? No? Okay. So, yes, we're introduced to our various characters. There's a quote at the start about the depths of the ocean or something bollocks like that.
Yeah. The Marianas Trench, I assume, is what they're talking about.
Something like that. And we're introduced to our main character, who's our lovable rogue with a heart of gold, and the two people he works with. One is obviously our mechanic dude, who's kind of the squirmy, like, nervous guy, and then
kind of sounds like me
right now. Yeah. Although more whiny though, he's got a very whiny voice. Does Kevin J. O'Connor?
It's like I don't know. There was this style like of people talking in a certain way in the 90s for comic relief, like Gilbert Gottfried has a little bit of that, right? Or
yeah.
Who else? Who's the main one I'm thinking of? Biodome guy.
Oh, Pauly Shore.
Pauly Shore, yeah. This is kind of like a thing where, like, if you wanted to be the comic relief in the 90s, you kind of had to have a weird voice.
Yeah, there's a lot of 90s trends in this for sure. They do stick out watching it now, like a new era where you're kind of recognizing all these things that have been gone for a while. And then the third person is a woman, an Asian woman who I was shocked turned out to be in a relationship with the mechanic character.
She's like stupid beautiful.
It's like, how did he land her exactly? Like,
she's like, oh yeah, also there's this model who works with them, who's on their crew.
Which again, it's a very movie thing because you just, it's like they want everyone to be beautiful. So when they have like, a woman on the crew,
just the women, anyway.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like men are allowed to be uglier in this era because Treat Williams and Kevin J. O'Connor. And this is no disrespect. I'm not an attractive man myself, but clearly in movies, men are allowed to be kind of schlubby in this era.
I guess so. I mean, replace them with like peak Brendan Fraser in the next.
That's true. Made. That's true. Brendan Fraser, obviously, was a step up next time.
Probably would have made this movie better.
I mean, I'm going to say what I always say. I think you stick Red Brown into this role, and I think you've got a winner.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
You get Red Brown.
Red Brown on a jet ski, immediately cool.
But
changed my mind.
Yes, but he has to wear that baby blue crop top from Robo War while he's doing it.
But have the hair from your.
Check out our Patreon bonus episodes if you want to get more information on these Red Brown movies. In fact, I think Robowar just went up on the YouTube members because they're on a delay. I think that just went up for YouTube members on the movie channel.
That is such a good movie. Plus, you get to see Red Brown act in it when he tries to cry at the end, where the camera's like zooming in on him and he's working real hard. He's like, "Come on, tears, come on."
Yes. Tower's use of the word "good" there is very flexible. I'll just say that.
Oh, that's a really good movie.
And it's enjoyable. I don't know if "good's" the word I'd use, but
I bought it on Blu-ray.
Of course you did. Of course you did. So yeah, what was I saying here? So we meet our characters and we meet our team of mercenaries that are working for, I guess I don't know this guy that well, the Japanese guy who's like in charge of the mercenaries. I don't really know him from anything, I don't think. But he is like saying, yeah, don't ask any questions, blah 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 blah. But mechanic guy like goes down and finds that they've got torpedoes on them. The Asian guy's the Sphinx and Mystery Men. Okay, I don't know him from something. Yep, I can picture him now in that movie. Okay. Didn't stick out right away.
He definitely looks familiar. I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't look up to see what else he was in though.
I feel like I recognize his voice more than his face, but yeah, that makes some sense. He's wearing a mask in that after all.
It's a very international mercenary group.
Yes, which actually one of the first points I want to make about their introduction is that they're like all ridiculously. It's like they're trying to do the Predator thing where they're all badasses and they're all like showing how much of a badass they are, but they come off kind of lame at times in doing it.
Oh yeah, totally.
Because they like when they catch Benny, which I'm just going to call him Benny because that's what he is in the Mummy. But when they catch Benny looking at the missiles, they start beating him up, and we get these like it's almost like in like a kids movie when like a kid's being bullied, and you get the camera looking up at all the bullies like kicking you. Like you get that shot of all these like badass mercenaries, and I'm like, guys, this is like a weak, scrawny little dude. Like, you're not being big and badass because you're beating him up. Like, it just, I don't know.
And if you actually were beating him up, he'd probably be dead pretty quick.
Yeah. And Finnegan has to come in with the harpoon gun. But anyway, the thing I wanted to say, the line that really stuck out to me here is they're making fun of each other. Sunshine Guy, Cliff Curtis, he, like, his thing in the movie is he's just like a pervert, and he's just always talking about how to have sex. But the line that stuck out to me here was they're talking about he's talking about why to have sex with a woman from every country, and one of the other ones they're sort of debating what that means. Like, does every country count? Is it only countries that are real and like established? And for some reason they then use the country of Australia as an example of one that doesn't count. Like, Australia?
Okay, this is so funny to me because Cliff is from New Zealand. Like, that's clearly like he's making fun of the continent of Australia and the country of like with the other guys, but like, isn't he like Maori or something? He's New Zealand. He's a Kiwi.
Because they're making fun of Kano, who's Australian, right? And he's like, like this guy's country. He's like, Australia's a real country, mate. And I'm like, yeah, of course. Like, because when he said like the all established countries count or whatever the line was, I thought, oh, maybe he means like tribes that sort of set up their own regions, you know, or so, you know, like something like that. But no, Australia. You're debating Australia as a country.
It's so funny.
I don't know.
It was so funny. It was so dumb, especially because I'm like, okay, this actor is New Zealand, so like, why would he make fun of that? Because he's like a country that's a subset of Australia, the continent.
Yeah, but is the character from New Zealand though?
I don't know that he changed his accent or not. I think he still sounded like he was.
Yeah, okay.
Because when he was speaking, and I was like, wait, he sounds New Zealand, and I looked him up, and he's absolutely New Zealand. He looks like, you know, like a New Zealander.
Yeah, I love how like saying New Zealander and you can't say New Zealandish, right? There's not a good word for it, which is why they just came up with Kiwi to be the word.
He looks like he's related to Taika. He sounds like him.
Yeah, I can see it. So yeah, we introduce these characters and they're all mean and stuff. But as this is all going on, there's an inside man on the ship. It turns out later to be the guy who owns it, but there's an inside man in the ship who turns off all the communications, which is just meant to stop them from talking to anyone. But they end up like, you know, something from below causes a ruckus, and we don't see too much of what happens. The only stuff we get in the ship is the party, the speech about, you know, like, oh, we're all rich, we get that speech. And we get obviously our Catwoman being caught and put
they
in
have to go to this
brig.
part of the waters, right? Like, they're trying to get to an area of that was also in like the opening text was like there's an area of the ocean where like ships go missing and stuff. It's kind of like, I guess they were talking about Bermuda Triangle-ish thing. I don't know.
They never say that. Well, yeah, but that wasn't the big bit. It was the small boat that was... Oh, no. Yeah, no, maybe they were... So, yeah, I think what's happening here is that they never actually say this in the movie, but I think what it's hitting at, from what you just said, is that I think this idea that there's going to be, like, you know, pirates or terrorists who, like, you know, sink the ship, right? The idea that they're going to do it in this area where ships are known to go down is like to enhance the, because basically it's an insurance scam. The owners realize that he spent too much on this boat and he wants the $400 million insurance payout. So honestly, one of the funniest things in the whole movie to me is later on in the film when he's on his own and he realizes the boat's sinking and he just goes, "It's sinking," and he gets really excited. I don't know, that really made me laugh for some reason.
I think the whole concept of like, I'm just going to make a cruise ship for millionaires is really funny because this cruise ship is huge and there's not a lot. Like, there's more now, but there's not a lot of millionaires. So, like, in order for the cruise to be profitable, is that like all these millionaires would have to choose to go on a cruise for every vacation they do. Otherwise, you're just going to have to start like hauling, regular people on a cruise.
That's why the prices have to be, affordable to a large clientele, so that you actually always have customers.
Right, exactly. So maybe like this first cruise or something, maybe it wasn't actually profitable because it was like, well, I just need all these millionaires to be here so I can rob them.
I mean, I've never been on a cruise. I don't know what a cruise, like a typical cruise costs. I'm assuming it's like $1,000 or something like that. But
yeah, they're pretty expensive. I've looked into it before, but
yeah.
Obviously it depends where you go. And
yeah. I mean, they're expensive, but they're expensive, and a regular person can save up, or it's an option if they want to like devote some time to it, kind of thing.
Yes. If I wanted to go on a cruise, I could do it, but I have to, put some money aside for it.
Yeah. Whereas here,
and it would have to be like in the steerage.
Yeah, but this guy's logic is he's the lawyer from Jurassic Park. We can have a coupon day or something for the poors.
Yes, a coupon. That movie's so good. We should watch that instead.
We've already done Jurassic Park. Was right to do a Jurassic Park revisited.
That'd be great. Yeah.
We'll have a coupon day.
Every line is great in that movie.
Yeah. That's probably why I know what coupon means. That's probably where I learned that word, because coupon's not a word that's used in the UK. We call it a voucher.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Coupon.
Yeah. We love our coupons.
So we can't. But once there's a bit of like turbulence or tremors or whatever you want to call it, like there's like we cut away from the cruise ship and we just stay with the other characters. And so we're with them as they discover what's happened on the ship. So obviously once they get close, like the main guys are all taken by gunpoint, and it's like, okay, they've had some rough stuff as well. They've been hit by something. The engine's damaged. They need to get parts from the cruise ship. Which obviously the bad guys are expecting to see the cruise ship, but our main trio aren't. They're like, wait, there's a cruise ship out there, because they didn't know what they were coming out here to do. Obviously, they're in the blind about all this. So the setup is that they're going to take the two guys, or Finnegan and Benny, onto the cruise ship so that they can get the parts they need to fix the engine, so they can get away afterwards. And our model slash first mate is staying back on the boat with one of the bad guys, which is a shame, because she basically has one more scene where she dies, and that's kind of it. You don't get a lot of her, which is a shame, because it felt like they were setting her up to be more of a main character. But I guess if you're going to have a kill count, you have to like do some surprise deaths early on.
It did seem a little pointless to kill her character, because she has a relationship with Benny, right?
Yeah,
that's the name, Benny. And
well, not in this movie, but that's what I'm calling him. Yeah.
Oh, that's the mummy character.
That's his mummy's character.
But whatever, I'm sticking with it. Yeah. They have a relationship, and like it doesn't really come up again where he's like looking for her, or it's so there's a line at the very end of it which I won't jump to now, but like I just thought, like, if you're gonna kill her,
I mean, you could jump to it if you. I mean, it is literally one exchange where he just says, "Is she here?" And the captain goes,
"I think she's dead."
I think she's dead. Oh, me sad, and that's it. That's the extent of it.
I wish there was something more. Like, if you're gonna kill this character, like, she's one of our main likable people, so like, why would you do that unless it's going to affect his motivation in some way? You know, but they do nothing with it, so it's kind of a pointless kill.
You would think, oh no, she'll be safe until they get back, and then maybe he'll see her die in a big moment, or he'll sacrifice himself to save her. Yeah, just do something with it. Yeah, it felt like just a nothing. It was just like, oh, she's just a red shirt to die, so we have an extra kill, but it's like, she felt like she was more important than that.
We can only have one hot woman in this movie.
Yeah, apparently. Yes. The comic relief must be the third wheel at the end. That's the rule.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's just a nothing thing. It was kind of disappointing.
Yeah, so they got into the boat, and like they're constantly, for some reason, like, and I don't think there's really a necessity for this, But there's just this one little extra element of there's these advanced guns they've got access to that are like, they're fake guns that have been made up for the movie that are like got like spinning chambers and they're yeah, and like all the bad guys like, oh yeah, this is great, the guns, yeah.
Look at my big penis, I mean gun. Yeah.
But yeah, and they do that thing where so they go on the boat and they're looking through the hallways and they're like, this is a bit weird. Okay, they're all in the big ballroom, let's go in there. Oh wait, they're not here. There's a really great little beat here where they effectively do the Predator moment where there's like a spooky, and it's not even like a spooky noise really, it's like a cake with some sparklers goes off or something, right? And there's like just a bit of a fireworks show, and it scares them all, so they all start firing their guns. So we get the Predator scene where they're all just firing at nothing for like a minute. And I like this version of the scene for two reasons, because one, the two main guys from the boat who duck at first just sort of slowly rise up and look around and be like, these idiots are shooting at nothing. So I like that there's a reaction to it from characters who are slightly more sensible. But two, I actually really like the joke where they all stop and then they're so happy with how it felt to shoot these fancy new guns, they just start firing again for no reason.
Yeah, that was funny.
I don't know, I got a chuckle. It felt like at least it didn't just do the scene from Predator, it sort of like, played with it and did something new with it.
That was fun, let's just keep doing it.
Well, that felt more genuine to me than like, that's why we brought up RoboWar, but RoboWar just like had that scene like 5 times.
Hilarious. Every time it was funnier.
Yeah, it was funny because it's a bad movie, and it's funny because they're like just blatantly doing it. But
you like the scene in Predator? What if we do it 6 more times?
But yeah, so they split up. Kano is the first bad guy to die. He just gets dragged away in the water, basically. Because it's a little bit wild, because obviously when I keep saying the monster, I think for a lot of the movie, you don't actually necessarily think it is one monster, you think it's just a lot of different like tentacle things. It's not until...
Well, for a long time you don't even see anything. There's no indication of what it is. There's like, you see one guest who's like trapped in a room, and you see that she dies. You don't see how, but
she gets sucked in
something gets in the room.
She gets sucked in the toilet. That's not sugarcoat the detail here. She's sitting in the toilet seat and she gets sucked into it.
That's right, she does. She looks down and screams and then dies that way. It's not as like graphic though as it could have been like an 88 blob scene where you see her get folded and like go into a toilet. Yeah, you don't get that. You just get explosion of blood.
It is R-rated because there's some F-bombs and I guess there's a little bit of violence, but yeah, it's not like super gory or anything like that by any means.
Yeah.
You do see the tentacles for a long time though. Once they show up, you see a lot of those tentacles for like the middle chunk of the movie. Like you see them a lot.
And each one has like a personality and like a face and a mouth and stuff like that. Spikes.
I don't know if I'd agree with the personality part. Did you get personality from these tentacles?
Well, mad.
I definitely
I guess I got emotion.
I got vagina with teeth mouth at the end of all of them, but
no, they were like a pointy mouth.
No, one of them definitely had like a vertical mouth that opened.
Well, yeah, because I think they have like the pointy mouth, right? And then they spread open, and then it gets more open. There's more openings inside, and then it's the vagina dentata. Inside,
yes. But yeah, there was definitely like a vagina-shaped one in the middle. I'm going to stop doing this now.
Okay, thank you.
For the audio listeners, I was using some visual aid to express my point.
Hey, the movie said it was Aliens meets Titanic. Yeah,
that's true, and there's a lot of genitalia, design in the alien stuff, so can't fault that. So, and obviously later on we find out it's basically a big octopus. It's a kraken, effectively. Like,
yeah, which I was okay with. Like, I kind of wish that it was just what it was from the beginning. Like. I like what it does with the victims, where it'll eat them and then basically someone says later on like, oh, it just drinks people. So like it'll eat you whole, take out all the fluids and then spit out the bones. And I like that. And I like the visual of all like the nasty decomposing stuff because anything that makes me think of 88 Blob is going to be good.
Yeah, they find
But-
like it's like there's a big cargo area full of just like skeletons later on, and there's the one guy that it kind of spits out when it's not done with them. So like, he's got like
That was great.
He's got like a Two-Face thing where like half his head is like, and the CG is pretty rough because it's a CG effect on his face, but you know it's
It
fun.
It was great. I really liked that moment actually.
It's of its time period, but
It was something, you know, that they gave us that was like, oh, this is really gross and cool. And, finally, something that's not like just a tentacle.
But it's definitely meant to just be a fun movie though, because it's one of those ones where the characters are still sort of just being quippy and kind of like, yeah, they're acting scared, but they're not like, this is not an intense, terrifying like movie where the characters are all like terrified for their lives. They're movie characters in an adventure, you know, at all times.
And there's Treat Williams tells a story about how like everyone thinks that they're safe at the moment, and he's like, I watched a video of an octopus like be handed a wine bottle with a cork fully in it and a fish inside, and it was able to not just take the cork out but also fully get its whole octopus body inside and eat the fish. And I love the idea that this kraken thing is actually just a giant octopus that's able to, because octopuses are made of pudding inside, they just are able to go through anything and be able to eat somebody. I don't love the idea that every tentacle is like its own thing. It has a mouth that's able to like, you know, because you can do a lot with the tentacles already, like
Yeah.
with the suction
I think-
cups and stuff, and like deforming people that way.
I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but that to me felt like they wanted us to think it was just different tentacle monsters, and then it was a reveal at the end. Oh no, it's just all one big monster.
Yeah, but like each tentacle thing has a mouth, and then the actual monster has a mouth. Like the design of the creature doesn't make sense to me anymore, and it's kind of like I love Tremors, and the graboids are awesome, and like the actual when the graboid's mouth opens, it's got these like 3 other mouths that can go and grab onto things to help it, but it's basically just its tongue. Like the graboids have this design where that helps them eat things, and that's great. But then when you get a later Tremors sequel and like the tentacles inside the graboid come out, and then now they're their own creature, I don't like that. You know, that doesn't make sense to me anymore.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess you just sort of argue that it's just feeding the whole, so all of its tentacles can consume and just feed back to the main system.
If it's more of like a trunk thing, you know, like an elephant trunk, where it's like we're just storing this so that when we get to the mouth we can eat it again, you know, maybe. But it didn't seem to be the case, because like it was when the guy came out, like because they cut a tentacle open, and then the guy fell out of it, and he was still alive and decomposing and stuff like that.
Did the main part of the creature have a mouth though? I can't remember a mouth. Did it? Yeah. Mm-hmm. I remember an eye. I don't know if I remember a mouth.
That might have been the vagina mouth that you're remembering.
No, it was definitely on the tentacles. The tentacles definitely had a little vagina mouth.
All right, I can't believe I brought that term back up again. Anyway.
That's on you, okay?
You're right. My bad.
Yeah, so no, there's some fun moments with that, and obviously there's a lot of them sneaking around. There's some of that Alien Resurrection and Deep Blue Sea style stuff where they're trying to figure out, okay, what's the path we can take that's safe. Our characters interact. In fact, I do actually really like Jimon, or how do you say his name? His death is not actually the monster. He gets an axe to the head by the rich guy who owns the ship, because when they go into the vault, it turns out that the captain and him are hiding in there with like one other person, and like he opens the door and the guy just swings the axe at his head instantly.
I think he opens the door and he's going, money, 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 money. When the axe comes down. Yeah, that was a good moment.
Yeah. So, and I do think they do an effective job with him in making him unlikable, because even in the opening where they catch Janssen stealing stuff from like one of the vaults, he slaps her in a way that makes you feel, even though she was just caught doing something wrong, he still came across as the asshole in this scene.
Yeah,
and,
like he just wanted to hit her.
Yeah, like he enjoyed it, and then obviously like it's not a surprise when it turns out he's like doing this and it's all an insurance scam, and he's like, I'm not a monster, I was going to make sure the ship was evacuated. It's not my fault a monster I mean, to be fair, it's not his fault a monster showed up. But like, you know, I wasn't going to actually hurt anyone. But you know, so he you know, he does those skeevy things where he turns on them later on, and like sort of leaves them out to dry. So you're kind of waiting for his big ending where he's going to get what's coming to him, and you're kind of enjoying that. But he's also kind of invaluable in that he knows the layout of the ship. So when they're planning to like go through and we have to swim through this section, that's the part that reminded me of Alien Resurrection, which again was like a year or two before this. Is like, oh, this makes me think of that scene where it's like, oh shit, we have to get from point A to point B. And this is the sort of thing I like in survival movies, which, and they can either be disaster movies or be more like monster movies like this, but I do love those elements of them. It's like, okay, we have to go through this this like dangerous section where one of us is probably going to die, but we have to go through it to get to the other side.
No, I agree. And that's why I really love, I mean, I like this movie already. I like the Poseidon Adventure a lot. But like that is one of the fun things about that is like we have to get from point A to point B, but everything's literally upside down, or like there's wires loose and we have to get somehow find a way around this, or everything's underwater, but we know, or we're at least we're pretty sure if we get to the end of it, there's going to be an opening. But you have that, but then also a monster.
Yes. And that's, you know, that's part of the fun. And I think the movie's a reasonably, it's a very light summer blockbuster version of this concept, but I think it's an entertaining enough one for, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like fun. It's definitely fun. I just don't think it's very good.
I think that's also fair, but I kind of like it in spite of its misgivings because I don't know. It's just like I say, it's a very comforting, easy watch, if nothing else. But yeah, did you? So there's a bunch of them running around in the water, dodging tentacles, sneaking past them. The bad guys basically get picked off one by one. They're kind of like the red shirt fodder to get killed throughout the movie. Did you enjoy when so later on, I'm kind of skipping ahead here, but it's just when he's on the jet ski. So eventually there's kind of like he tries to sort of rig his small boat with the bomb on it to like blow up the ship, which actually leads to like the bad guy, you know, the rich guy's like demise in a you know, satisfying way, where he thinks he's getting away, but the boat's like set to auto turn around and like just blow up into the ship, which is good fun. But see when he's on the jet ski and Janssen gets on the back of the jet ski and they're riding around and it's all this fun stuff with them going down the hallways of the ship. Did you get the sexual tension as he like holds his shotgun out and says "cock it" as he's because he's using one hand to like steer the jet ski. So I understand why, but I couldn't help but feel there was an intentional innuendo with this.
I laughed, yeah, for sure. I was like, "Come on, movie, way to go!"
Oh, that's good shit.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, and then the bad guy, the leader of the bad guys, like the Japanese dude, he at one point tries to sacrifice Benny because like, we need to give them something to eat, and Benny's like, "What do we give them to eat?" And I'm like, "He's about to leave you for bait, dude. Like this is the most obvious setup in the world," and he shoots him in the leg to slow him down, but he does survive. Although he does get his comeuppance though, because when he ends up getting injured and he's basically like. He's already like starting to be like sucked into the tentacle, and he's like, okay, this is a horrible death. Benny chooses to give him his gun back because he's ended up with it in the scene. And he's like, look, I'll let you like take yourself out in a dignified way so you don't have to suffer, right? That's effectively what he's doing. And the asshole still tries to shoot at Benny as he's leaving the room, and he's like, dude, you're an asshole. And then obviously the payoff to it is that he goes to kill himself like he wants to, but he just fired the last round for no reason at him. So now he can't, and he has to get sucked alive. So also fun.
Yeah, I agree. Also a fun way to go.
Yeah, it was a fun time. But there's a lot of because the rich guy like tries to shoot a flare gun at Janssen a few times, and you know, so you cheer when his demise finally comes.
Yeah, I enjoyed the moment where the bad guy, the real bad guy, not the sea monster, realizes that the ship is turning around and going to crash into his great masterpiece / catastrophe. And that was fun, but it's the same like kind of trope where like the he goes, it's set to autopilot, which is, I don't know if a boat has autopilot or not, but
in
then also there's
1998 it feels far-fetched.
It feels sci-fi, yeah. And then also, like, there's no way to get around it. Like, oh, the access has been denied. to just steer the ship a different direction.
Actually, the other thing that's really satisfying about his demise is even before he's like the boat's like moving, he realizes that it's about to leave, so he actually jumps off the side of the cruise ship onto it and breaks his legs, and it's a really nasty like. But he's desperate. He's like, shit, I can't let that go away. I need to get off the cruise ship. Yeah. So even that's satisfying. Like they really put him through a bit of torture in his last couple of minutes, and
yeah, that was good.
It's enjoyable. And this is all happening while the jet ski stuff's going on, and they're riding around. I guess, I mean, if there's maybe an indictment of the movie, is that we're kind of glossing over a good middle chunk of the film where it's them like we said that they're trying to find their way through the ship, and there's maybe a change in power play where it goes from the mercenaries being in power to like, nah, we should just listen to the others, like our main characters, because they're actually trying to, like, they know the ship, they know how to fix the boat, they're kind of in charge now, and like, you know, like the mercenary guys just kind of have to actually accept that. But we are kind of glossing over a lot of this section because it all kind of boils down to every so often a tentacle jumps out and kills someone or comes through the water and they shoot at it a bit. Like, there's not a lot of like memorable, like specific things I want to talk about in that section. You know, we already we already brought up all the ones that are notable, which is the, you know, the half finished face and like them finding all the dead bodies and the bit where they have to swim. Like that's really the three main parts before we actually get into the big rush towards the end where everyone's trying to leave and blow up the ship, and obviously before they leave in the jet ski they end up in the main room with the monster, and we finally get to see its head, and basically our main dude shoots him in the eye, which is what makes him drop him, and they make a run for it.
Yep, pretty much.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Well, they have to jet ski out of the ship when it's being exploded by the torpedo boat.
Oh, of course, yeah.
We do get the shot of the action jet ski with the ball of fire and Famke Janssen behind Treat Williams going over into the water.
Yes. And Benny went. We didn't even see what happened to him. He just disappeared, and it's like, oh shit, I guess he's dead. And then, like, when they get to, because they see this island in the distance earlier on, and it's like, okay, we'll go there and wait for a rescue. They get to the island, and then it's just kind of like out of nowhere after they kiss, right? And she's like, oh, better than a cold beer, eh? And he's like, yeah, maybe. Benny just sort of like comes. It's like the end of Jaws, where he's just like on like a bit of raft or something, and he's just sort of like floating, swimming towards the island, and it's like, oh, he survived somehow. Good for him.
And made great time.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah, he didn't have a jet ski. He just swam.
Yeah, he got there like 30 seconds after they did.
Well, maybe he started early. Maybe as soon as he disappeared, he started swimming to the island.
Yeah, maybe he had some help with the explosion. Maybe that pushed him.
Yeah, pushed him. Yeah. He rode the wave, if you will.
Yeah.
But no,
big line.
I do like the little epilogue of the ending here, which is they hear a roar. And then they're like, wait a minute, what's on this island? And the camera pulls back and you see some trees move and you hear a few different roars and you're like, wait a minute, did they just land on Skull Island or something akin to Skull Island?
Yeah. That's exactly what it is, actually. According to the trivia, the director was going to make a King Kong movie and he was going to have this one be the lead into that.
That's actually quite funny. I mean, I just assumed it was something like Skull Island, but I did appreciate that. Oh shit, we've just discovered that, you know, the Kraken exists, and now it's like, oh shit, there's an island full of monsters that we've landed on. I thought it was a nice, like, oh shit, we're still in the deep end of like everything here.
Out of the frying pan and into the fire.
There you go. Yeah. I like the end. It gave me a good chuckle. The first time I saw the movie and I got to this part of the end, I just started laughing because I thought, okay, that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
What's
it would be awesome if Kong actually showed up at the end.
So
I'll take your beautiful woman now, thank you.
No, he likes blondes.
He does, yeah.
He's got a type. Sorry to say.
I just watched the 3.5 hour epic of the Peter Jackson one. Yes. Yeah. You know, it's a decent, fun time.
with I don't know if likable characters is the right phrase in this case.
With characters.
Yes. With characters. But they do feel like movie characters, for better or worse. If that makes sense. So there's a comfort and quality to them as opposed to, I don't know, like other movies that try to avoid archetypes by having everyone being bland or unlikable. They're just kind of, you know, they're a bit cheesy. They're a bit there. Feels very 90s. But ultimately, it's very easy to digest comfort movie food. Yeah.
You
know?
Yeah.
It's not as good as The Mummy. It's not as good as the things we can compare it to, like Deep Blue Sea or Leviathan. You know, we've not done some of the other underwater movies from like the Leviathan's era yet on the show, but I'm sure we will at some point, like Deep Star 6. There's another one around the same time. Like, there... 1989, for whatever reason, there's like 4 movies that were set underwater. There was The Abyss, Leviathan, Deep Star 6, and like one other one. It's kind of weird how many there were. But
just on trend.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where they all sync up.
I wonder if there's like, because everybody watched TV at like the same time and they all watched the same stuff. I wonder if there was some like Attenborough special about like underwater worlds or something, and then everyone's like, we should make movies about this.
Either that or they heard James Cameron was making like an underwater movie, so all the other studios went, oh, we need to rush, everyone get in the water right now.
I don't know if Cameron was that big yet though.
I mean, it was after Aliens.
Yeah, but before T2.
Okay, true. I admit he got bigger with T2. Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. It's an interesting relic of it. It's kind of weird that I missed this as a kid. It kind of feels like the sort of thing that was probably on TV all the time. I just never saw it. I somehow missed it.
I missed it too.
Yeah.
And I was glued to my TV.
Yeah, so was I. Yeah, it's weird.
I mean, when my dad wasn't using it to watch golf. Ugh. Lame.
Very good. Oh, that's funny. The Asian lady in the crew on the small boat. She was the nurse in Gattaca.
Oh.
And she was also in Deep Impact and The Truman Show. She was in a lot of things in small roles at this time period, apparently.
I guess 90s sci-fi was her thing.
I guess. She's not been in anything since 2007, though, so she called it quits. Oh, she was the tour guide in the first Spider-Man movie. I can actually picture her now that I've read that.
Okay.
She's the one explaining the spiders at Oscorp.
Oh, okay.
At the start, yeah. Not Oscorp, it's the museum in the first movie, it's not Oscorp. Oscorp's
in the Raimi movies?
Yeah. Yeah. Weird. That's so funny. Like, she's in like 5 or 6 movies that I've seen, all very close together. But they're all just small enough roles that I never even noticed. Huh. Funny.
Never got a big break, I guess.
I guess not. She eventually called it quits for whatever reason. Alright, well. Okay, would you like to rate the movie? If there's any final points you'd like to make before you do?
I mean, there are definitely fun moments in it, but I don't think it's a very good movie. So, I'm going to go 5.5. Okay.
I think I will be slightly more generous and give it the 6. Just because I think it's a fun enough watch. It's not art by any means, but as a sort of summer blockbuster, it's a light-hearted film, especially if you like the 90s sort of tone with it. I think it's a nice, easy to watch thing. It's probably the sort of thing where people who grew up in the 90s like we did will probably feel something for it. Even though we didn't see it at the time, but just because we feel something for that era. I think if you try to show this to someone who wasn't born until maybe the end of the 90s, start of the 2000s, someone who's only like 22 just now, I think they would probably watch this and just, unless they just happen to get a taste for it, they probably just think it's a bit lame. And I really couldn't blame them for that thought.
It's a promising start, but yeah, I don't know. The creature was disappointing, unfortunately. That's a big one.
Do you think it's mostly the effects though? Do you think if it was the same general idea creature, but it was like with modern, much better effects?
honestly, even the special effects of the creature, I was thinking, for the time, it's not the worst. So I can get past special effects.
Sure.
I honestly think it's the creature design. It is
Okay.
The tentacle mouths don't make sense to me. It's upsetting. I would have liked to have seen a giant, just slimy octopus taking revenge on people.
Sure. So you would have liked the tentacles just to grab people and pull them away and just to nowhere, and then we find out later where they're going.
Yeah, inside of through a toilet seat even, that would be great.
Yeah. I have a decent enough time with it. It's it is what it is. I'm never going to recommend it more than just if you like this type of 90s B movie, you'll get some fun out of it, but that's about it. Like, I'm never going to go any higher than that. But it's probably Stephen Sommers' second best movie because, Van Helsing sucks.
I can't remember.
Mummy Returns is watchable, but it's definitely weaker than the first movie.
Still got Brendan Fraser in it.
It does. It also has those PS1 video game graphics at the end of it when the Scorpion King comes out.
Is The Rock in that one?
Yeah, that was one of the first times I ever remember seeing a movie in the cinema and thinking, "Oh, that looks bad." Is when he comes out as the Scorpion King at the end, and he's CG. I remember thinking, "Oh, that looks like shit." In 2001 when it came out. So.
Yeah, I don't remember. I'm sure I saw it because The Mummy was great, so I probably saw it. The Mummy too.
Yeah.
I never saw the Scorpion King movie.
I think I tried to watch it and was just bored. Like, I think I technically watched it, but I don't know how much attention I was paying to it by the end. It wasn't very good. And that's one of those weird movies that's got like 4 direct-to-video sequels, and I don't... It's so weird.
I'm glad it gave us The Rock, though, because I do appreciate The Rock. Very quickly, I was like, I like The Rock, and I went and supported his movies, but not The Scorpion King.
Sure.
I went and saw Walking Tall.
Well, he's very charismatic. He's just got a presence. He's a bit thin-skinned at times. He's getting very defensive right now, Black Adam, when anyone compares it to anything.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, he had to have known. He has to know when he's in garbage movies.
IGN put out a statement, it's not even a statement, they put like an article or a tweet saying Black Panther 2 is like already grossed more than Black Adam has in like several weeks, and The Rock had to reply to it. And like,
that's okay. Twitter's about to implode anyway.
That's true. Twitter's probably about to die, and Anyway, but there you go. That's our thoughts on Event Horizon. It's not a super deep movie. The fact that we tangented quite a bit during this one probably lends itself to that. But it's a fun enough watch. So take it as you will. So we got one more movie we're going to do in this 90s season. There could be more in the future. There's definitely more 90s sci-fi to look at, but we've done about, I don't know, I think by the time we're done we'll have done about 8 or 9 of them. And plus whatever random ones we've done in the past, but this is what we've done in the season. But we are at the end of the year, start of the new year, depending where it falls. We're going to do a top 25 90s sci-fi movies list, and that'll be a fun episode when we get there. But we got some stuff to do after Johnny Mnemonic next week. We have to do the first Avatar, because the second Avatar is coming out soon, which we'll also obviously be doing.
Just got tickets.
And we've got another thing, I think, in between those, and then we'll see what we want to do at the start of next year. Maybe we'll do another season of some kind. We'll pick a decade or a subgenre and give something some focus.
Sounds fun.
But yes, you can of course support everything by going to patreon.com/WhaleFuzzTV and supporting us for as little as $3 per month and getting bonus episodes and other exclusives. What are the 2 main exclusives to get, Tara, if they join at the $5 tier?
Why, yes, Peter. If you guys join us at that tier level, then you will get bonuses. So you'll get a bonus review every month where we talk about something kind of like this movie, but maybe a bit more B-rated. And we also do a show called The Ace Movie Meltdown. It's really good.
Tara, I'm trying to have a snack. You can't struggle this much. Come on. Hold the show.
It's a good show. We just talk about stuff we've been watching, and also we quiz each other on science fiction movie knowledge. It's fun. So check out that page.
Check out. Oh, my chest. Oh, that hurt. Oh.
You're not allowed to complain about that. I've got COVID, okay? I'm better now. It's okay.
Oh, that hurt. I did like a weird pivot mid-sentence and kind of half coughed, and oh, my chest hurts now. Oh, come on.
That's your comeuppance for snacking during the review.
Well, just a little bit at the end.
Put those peanut M&Ms away.
Not peanut M&Ms, it's small teasers, everyone. Small teasers. Okay. Delicious.
Is that like a leftover Halloween box? It's so many.
It was on sale. We're getting rid of them. Anyway, yes. Check out Patreon for bonus things every month and whatnot. Of course, one of our higher tiers is the producer tier, so I will thank our Patreon producers right now. So thank you very much to Tyler Hess, Cindy Palacios, David Sharp, Bordenau, Christopher Moy, David Brown, Al Treisman, and Alison M. Fordyce. Thank you all, and thank you to anyone who's a patron or anyone who supports us. You can support us, of course, by liking, subscribing, dinging the bell for notifications, commenting, rating the podcast on iTunes or wherever you get your podcast from. Tara's trying her best to distract me now.
You're doing great.
I can't say the same about your Patreon plug, but it's a solid effort.
I'm sick.
Oh, there you go. That is our Deep Rising episode. Thank you very much for joining us. We always appreciate it. Keep watching science fiction, a computer at Salsa.